Golden Knights having great success so far this year. Does that put any pressure on you guys to succeed in this
Who are the
year?
Golden Knights? No, only pressure is that the sniping of people saying you got to do as good as them.
It's just good. Vegas is treating us well, and I think the record doesn't show how hard that we work, and it's tough in that way, but it's good for us in the inner circle to understand what we have going on in Vegas, and if we just continue to trust and believe in each other, the sky's the limit for this team, and I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Our expectations maybe at the start of the season were a little unrealistic.
Man, we're not even worrying about the playoffs right now. What we do is we take it week by week. We gotta worry about next week. You start looking ahead and you start looking over people, you might not even make it. So
that being said, to me, Urban Meyer is one of the lowest pieces of garbage there is on this earth.
You are tuned in to Straight Bet Sports, live on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network.
Oh, man, Wednesday night, just past 9 p.m. I'm trying to stay awake, and I know a couple people in the studio trying to stay awake as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us as you do every single Wednesday night. I am your host, Jose V. You are tuned in live to Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. Coming to you live from downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to go right into it like I do every single Wednesday night. Guys, do me the favor. Drop that like, drop that comment, drop that share. We'll go from there and let everyone know what it is you are enjoying tonight. If you haven't already done so, please download the Gorilla Cross app on all major platforms. The Gorilla Cross app can be found on the App Store for Apple or the Google Play Store. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Lots of good content on there aside from our show. And of course, GorillaCross.com as well. We are live on all Gorilla Cross radio platforms, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Just look up Gorilla Cross and you will see us live there. We greatly appreciate you, our sponsors, our listeners, our watchers, and everyone that's a part of the show. Ian, welcome back, my guy. I know you were gone last week, but
Yes,
you're
sir.
back.
Yes, sir.
You paid up your bet. Quan's enjoying his nice, fresh, warm
Yes, he
pizza
is.
tonight.
Yes, he is.
You know what I mean?
Man of my word.
See, Quan, there you go. Quan's got to show it up. We got to have Quan real
Pizza
quick.
bet.
There we go.
Listen, man, don't ever bet against me. Like I do really good.
Quan's actually really good. If you look at his previous record when we had Rob on the show before, him and Rob used to go back and forth, and a lot of victories on Quan's side. But I even texted Quan today. I'm like, hey, Ian said, what kind of pizza you want today? Because he owes you a pizza. He's like, he does? I'm like, yeah, remember he said the Rams were going to freaking blow out the Niners, which it didn't happen. We know that. But,
No, it
hey,
didn't.
you're a man of your word. You basically came through with the pizza, right? I'm a little upset tonight, guys. You see me rocking the Laker gear as I am. I'm a Laker fan through and through, regardless. Call it the LA Fitness Gym Championship if you want, which is a lot of people call that when the Lakers won. But they're not looking good today, man. It's a 9-point favorite, but they're only up by 1 against Portland. Portland, the team that just basically traded away everyone and has nobody left but bench players, but it's those type of games that can kind of get you stuck there and get caught, right? But we have a fun show on tap for you guys tonight. Again, drop that comment, drop that like, drop that share. If you want to give us a call later on, 702-608-3259. I'm on all social media platforms right now with Gorilla Cross. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, so I can see all your comments. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. But let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and bring in our guest from tonight. He is a return guest. He's been on the show before. He was one of our original guests. I'm talking about, this was probably back in the first 10, 15 episodes type of thing. We're almost to 100 right now. So let me welcome back a great individual that's doing a lot of great things in the community. I love having him back on the show because he does things that I wish I had when I was younger, growing up in the inner city, growing up in a single parent home, wanting to play sports, wanting to get into all that. But without further ado, with that being said, let's go ahead and bring in our guest of the night, our featured guest. He is none other than Devonte Woodson, CEO and founder of the Greater Youth Sports Association. My man,
Thank you.
welcome
Thank
back.
you. Yeah. Almost 100, huh?
Bro, we're right there. I think this is 95 already right now. Yeah.
Sheesh. Let's go, man.
Gonna hit 2 years here, man. Definitely.
Yeah. Putting in work, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. The work never stops. Obviously, the work never stops with you. We see that. You've been doing a lot of work in the community. Talk about what you've done previously since the last time we had on your show. What has grown with Greater Youth Association?
Man, so we were talking almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So we were just going to the pandemic. I think it was like March or April or something
Around
like that.
there, yeah.
It was around there, headed to the summer. And I think then we were just developing our ball and playing program. So we developed a virtual program that year when all the schools were shut down. We had a virtual program that gave out like free sports balls to the kids. So we hit close to 1,000 kids that year while we were all shut down. We were still just handing out balls to the kids, virtual program. And so this year, we're actually back live with sports. We finished a very good basketball season in the fall, had about 800 kids just for basketball season. We're in flag football season right now. About 3 weeks in, had about like 700 kids signed up right now for that, and we're just rocking and rolling, man. Just a lot of growth, a ton of kids signed up, a lot of positive things, you know. Just love it, man. Love being back and having the kids out there just participating.
So talk about that, because I remember following you a lot on social media, because a lot of us, that was like our life during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we communicated more than anything, because we couldn't really be out. How did that work for you? Was it a struggle? Was it a challenge for you in the beginning, or was it pretty smooth from the beginning?
With social media?
Yeah, no, with the whole virtual thing, because you didn't have kids that you can just, hey, let's get together, let's set this up, let's go out. You were doing things virtual to keep the kids still active.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as work goes, it was pretty simple. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. No, I mean, like we developed a virtual thing, so we turned the lessons that we teach the kids every single week. You know, we do like social and emotional lessons, leadership, things like that. So we turned those lessons into like a cartoon form. So that was, you know, kind of first time doing that. But after that, I mean, we're just handing balls out, kind of organizing it. So I mean, usually we're there every day. We have coaches there organizing, coaches, coordinators, the league, game days, tournaments, you know, events, like all that stuff. So we didn't have all the extra live stuff, so it was a little bit easier with that, you know what I'm saying? But it was still a blessing, you know, just to do the virtual and having the kids tuning in live and doing practices with them, you know, virtually and things like that. But yeah, so work side, it was good, but you know, it was pretty easy though.
So I know I've asked you this before, but why work with the kids, and why continue to work for the kids for you?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of put it there in the beginning. It was like, I grew up raised by a single mom of 5. You know, didn't get to play sports till middle school, when the middle school team had like a free sports team, you know, like just middle school sports. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to make the team, right? And then that pretty much catapulted me to just keep playing basketball. I've always wanted to play. I was a kid, I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, where it rains all the time. I was the one, you know, like
perfect weather.
Yeah, right. I was the one outside in the rain, you know, practicing Kobe moves on, you know, watching videos and stuff like that. I'm the one outside. So going to middle school, I had my first opportunity to be on the team.
Gotcha.
You know, that, you know, I was one of those kids, I didn't like going to school in elementary. I was always getting in trouble, things like that. And then when I made the team, my mom was like, look, if you want to be on a basketball team and play, then your grades need to be good. You know, and that's what really just started changing things for me. So as a PE teacher here in Vegas, I moved here to be a PE teacher. I saw the same thing happening with a lot of kids at my school. I asked them like, hey, what do you do after school? They're like, oh, nothing, you know? And I was like, all right, well, let me just fill in this gap, you know? And then it just, from there, just kept going, kept rolling, snowball effect. So now, I mean, started with one school and now we're in like 26. So, and growing. We got a wait list right now.
And is your program all youth ages, or is it specifically just like one age bracket?
So I like to say now we're the largest elementary sports program. Okay. So we specifically hit just elementary schools.
Gotcha.
All Title I schools, so all of them are coming from like low income backgrounds and things like that. About, to be specific, 95% of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we're specifically the largest, just hitting that demographic. So just making sure all the kids have the opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously, I know you do a lot of mentorship. You have people that volunteer, that help out with the kids and all that. I know that there's a lot more to this than just getting kids to be active, right? Getting kids to be able to play. I'm not gonna steal your thunder because you had this question earlier when we were talking, but I'll let Ian ask you this. But there has to be more to just teaching the kids how to play or keeping them in sports. And that being said,
so with everything going on with the NFL, especially with some of the players coming from Las Vegas or being in Las Vegas, there's a lot of pressure, right, when they transition to whatever they're going to do outside of school when they're in school. So how do you like prep them for the outside world? Like, I'm not going to say like everyone is a star athlete because you're hitting everyone, but the ones that you identify as, hey, this kid might be special, like, do you spend some quality time with that kid to like try and infuse that life is way more than just sports?
Yeah, so that's a little bit about the event too that we do, the character and awards night. So that event, it's all based about your environment. So I'll kind of go deep with this. So with when we are coming up with the program, your environment controls a lot about what you do. I'm not going to sing any names or anything like that, but like as people get to the professional sports and stuff, you see a lot of these guys making mistakes, right? Because a lot of the times it's their first time getting out of an environment that they're really used to. So with us, it's all about creating that perfect environment for them, putting good positive mentors in there, good lessons, good things, just taking them out of what they're used to seeing, influencing them, and just taking them to see just something different. Because right now they're just seeing just what is in front of them directly. So a lot of it is like, hey, let me bring someone to your environment. Maybe they grew up where you grew up, right? They look just like you, but they've been exposed to just different things in their life. And now maybe you'll listen to them a little bit and just take you out of what you're used to seeing.
Gotcha.
You know, so we feel like it's really important to do it at that early age because it sticks a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So now as they've grown up, they're like, man, I've already seen this. I've already seen that. You know, for me growing up, it was like I was getting in trouble doing all this stuff. In high school, I had like my freshman and sophomore year, I had like a 2.0 GPA, just barely enough to just make the teams keep playing. It was like a 2.0 and you're able to play
You were
basketball.
like, I'm right there on the cusp.
Literally, I was right there. I ended up transferring to another high school on the other side of town, right? My mom wanted to move to the other side of town. And this is a complete different school, right? I come from a school where it's all just, you know, people that look like me and Latinos, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I go to the other side, and then these students, I'm literally like the only black kid, like there's probably 3 of us in the school, you know, complete different side of town. They're driving Mercedes to school, all that kind of stuff. And I started hanging out with them a little bit. And I was noticing, I was like, man, he has a 4.0 GPA. He's already accepted to all these schools. That's when I looked at my grades. I was like, bro, I'm at a 2.0. I didn't even know what a GPA really was.
Like, what are we talking about here?
I didn't even
Like,
know
what is
until
this?
really junior year. And my goal was always to make it to college. You know, like, because I was the first one in my family to actually go graduate, get a master's. But I didn't even know what a GPA was until end of sophomore year. So then I get a little bit more serious. But what I'm saying is the environment changes and controls everything. So I was able to get out of an environment I was used to, just people hanging out and stuff, skipping school, not doing nothing, right? Just not doing literally nothing. And to where I was like, man, I got to put homework first. I got to do this first. But I learned that by getting exposed to just different things, you know? So that's what we try to do with the character night and the program. Is like, it's just all about exposure.
So I read that you have a extensive background in physical conditioning and strength and conditioning, right? Is that an important focus for you to teach these kids how to properly maintain their body?
Yeah, so I mean, a little bit about my background. I wanted to just be a college basketball coach. Like, if you'd asked me 6 years ago, I was like, college basketball coach, probably go to the NBA, just be like a skills coach, pretty much.
Gotcha.
Like basketball, that was it. You know, so I'm the coach because I've literally been coaching since I was like 18 years old.
Nice.
So the moment I went to college, I was at a middle school, then I went to high school, then I started working out the college, getting that kind of stuff going with coaching. So my background was strength and conditioning. So now more so I intertwine that into the program, but it's more so teaching other coaches how to do it.
Gotcha.
You know, so like I outline how their practices should be. You know, your warm up should be like this. A good example is a kid told me we do like little meetings with the kids to see how the program's going at their school. Earlier today, I was at a school and the student was like, I love how we have free time before we go to practice. Right. And all free time is just getting the kids, because a lot of times everything's so structured. Yeah. You know, like I love AAU and stuff, but a lot of it is so structured, you know, but a lot of the times with kids, the average age kids are quitting is age 10 because there's too much structure and they're not having fun. So a lot of times things that we do is we implement a 5-minute free time period. So right when practice starts or at the end of practice, the coach can kind of choose. They have a free time. Hey, guys, do whatever you want. Work on whatever skill you want, as long as it's on the court or on the field. The player and the student at that time, he's like, I love the free time. I got to do what I want to do.
I never thought about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
Kids have like abundant amount of energy, so not only for them to have fun, but like just get out that excess energy. Not that energy is a bad thing, but so that they can listen to coaches a little bit better.
Makes them want to play.
More discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
More discipline.
A little bit more disciplined.
Yeah.
So Devonte, talk about the event, Saving Youth Sports, March 3rd, if I have that correct, from 5 to 7 p.m. It's going to be at the UNLV Student Union. Yep. Talk a little bit more about the event and what exactly it is you guys are trying to do with this event.
Yeah, so this it's kind of intertwined with what we already do with our character and awards night. So if you ever been to one of our character and awards nights, we packed the whole building up.
Nice.
I mean, our first one in basketball season was so big we had to split it up into 2 sessions. Like too many kids filled the whole theater. Like it's crazy. So we're at UNLV in the student ballroom. Easily around 500 people should be there. It should be packed out. But this is all about the environment. So with this event, we have speakers come in, speak to the kids, talk to them about different things. The theme this time is why sports matter.
Gotcha.
You know, like the impact that sports had on us growing up.
Definitely.
And then really just relaying that to the students to like, hey, these are the things that you should be learning or thinking about right now. These are the things I went through. This is why it mattered to me. So all the speakers have that kind of theme around it. So that's the character night. The Saving You Sports is actually our fundraiser. So we're doing an online auction with it.
Okay.
We have a ton of auction items. Like we have some Raiders game day tickets, Vegas Golden Knight game day tickets, signed jerseys. I mean, a ton of prizes. Like you like Puerto Rico, man? You trying to go to Puerto Rico? Like we got like Airbnb stays, all that good stuff. So the prizes are just bananas in there.
So you had a lot of good sponsors jump on with you.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a lot of people donate to that. And we're doing an online auction. So we're actually going to start the auction next Thursday.
Okay.
So you'll be able to go online and start making your bids and everything for all the items. And then we'll be ending it right there at the character and awards night. So the whole event is called Saving You Sports because we are like the leaders here and just saving youth sports. We're the ones making sure all the students have opportunity to play. 70% of kids don't play just because of the cost. I had a parent tell me today in a meeting, we had a parent meeting, and she was like, yeah, I pay $105 a month for my daughter to play volleyball, right? A month, you know, so, you know, it is what it is. I love, you know, the competitive sports, but at the same time, that's where we come in with making sure, you know, everyone gets the opportunity. Definitely. You know, like everyone can, hey, I want to go out to play football. Like you can play football. Hey, I want to play basketball, soccer, cheer. You know, we're the ones that's make sure that all the students have the opportunity. Because what's happening is the students that don't, they're just going home. And then now all these issues start happening. And then we come into middle school and it's already kind of too late.
Do you have a place on your website where people can donate?
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to Greater,
good question.
Yeah, greateryouthsportsnv.org. You can just go to like, I think it's support us or anything like that, or donate. You can help out that way. There's going to be a ton of the Saving You Sports fundraiser. It's going to be on our website as well. So, and again, that launches next Thursday. You'll be able to start your bids and everything like that starting next Thursday.
And then not only that, I remember Rob did something through T-Mobile when he was working there. I think so. If you guys don't know, speak to your job, speak to your higher ups at where you work at. Some companies offer these type of volunteers where you donate whatever through the company on your behalf. GYSA, right?
Yep.
GYSA takes that. They work with that. Trust me. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. All the proceeds go back to your foundation to help the kids, basically, right? To get equipment, to get everything that they need.
You guys accept volunteers as well, correct?
Yeah, a ton of volunteers. Yeah, so
anyone that works for MGM, they actually will pay you 8 hours to go and volunteer. Go do it, man.
Yep, definitely. And just hit us on our website. We have our email there, phone number as well. That was good though. The T-Mobile, definitely we can do that. We are 501c3 and all that good stuff. So official like the whistle,
official like the whistle.
You know,
blow it.
Yep. So definitely.
Okay. So what else can you let us know about the event and about Greater Youth Sports before we let you go, my guy?
Yeah, just March 3rd. Definitely come out if you guys can. Come see it. Come see the kids. We have a ton of tournaments. February 19th, we have a recreational game day event.
Okay.
We have the Raiders Youth Program coming out to that.
Nice.
Hot 97, shout out to them too, coming out. Just a huge event where we have all of our recreational kids, all the students who didn't make the competition team. You know, they'll all be out there. So February 19th for that. But yeah.
And it is up on the screen there if you guys are watching. March 3rd. From 5 to 7 p.m. If you guys want to be a part of it, make sure you go ahead and check it out. Trust me, good stuff here with Devonte as always. If you guys have kids, which I do, I got 4 of them. I know it can be expensive, especially nowadays with the pandemic and everything else going on. So the fact that you're doing this and you've continued to do it, my guy, without even stopping, without even hesitating, without even blinking, I appreciate you for that, my guy. Seriously.
Yes,
But Devonte, let everyone know where they can find you on all things social media, website, whatever it may be, before we let you go.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me at Greater Youth Sports on Instagram, Facebook. Again, that's at Greater Youth Sports. And then we're also on Twitter and YouTube as well. So appreciate it. Straight Bet Sports. Let's get.
And I will be there because I'm going to put myself on blast. I spoke to Devonte right before Christmas time. He was going out of town because he had some things going on. I said I was going to donate some balls. I did not come through at that time, but I'll be there March 5th. So I'm putting myself on the spot, all right? I got to hold myself accountable. But Devonte, we greatly appreciate your time. We greatly appreciate you coming on. Let's make it a lot sooner the third time around, my guy.
2 years. That flew by, man. It flew by.
Definitely.
Yes,
Well, Devonte,
sir.
we appreciate you. You have a great night. Get some rest. I know you got a big morning coming up tomorrow and some things to do there, my guy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, my guy.
Good night, man.
So with that being said, let's jump into our sponsor segment real quick. We'll let you guys know who's bringing us here live on Gorilla Cross Radio every Wednesday night, and we'll be right back.
By Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate, a realtor here to help educate current and future Las Vegas locals on selling and investing in real estate. You're probably asking yourself, educate. Yes, there's a surprising amount of adults that when it comes to real estate, don't know the right questions to ask, don't know where to start, and think they need a lot of cash to buy a house in Nevada, which simply isn't true. So Josh has decided to make it his responsibility to teach his clients what they need to know, and equally important, what they need to ask to help ensure making their home ownership dreams a true reality. So make sure you call or text Joshua LaFon today at 702-813-0533. This has been another paid advertisement from Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate. Make sure you give him a call, 702-813-0533.
That's right, man. Joshua LaFon been riding with us here on Gorilla Cross Radio, bringing straight bet sports to you guys every single Wednesday night. We greatly appreciate him and his sponsorship and what he does for us. Big ups to Devonte Woodson of Greater Youth Sports Association for stopping by and chopping it up with us a little bit, letting us know about his event coming up here on March 5th. Make sure you guys check it out. Greater Youth Sports Association, Saving Youth Sports, March 3rd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Rebel Student Union. Make sure you go ahead and check that out. Be part of it, donate, be part of a good cause, and go enjoy yourself and have a good time as well. But we're back at it here on the show. We're about the midway point. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, especially with Ian, because Ian was gone last week. I hope you enjoyed your wedding with your brother and all that. You know, la gente, whatever you want to say to him. Congratulations, you got married, but you're back. We have to talk about Brian Flores, the whole situation again, because there's so much more to it. I know we kind of tapped on it last week. I kind of tapped on it with Che and Joe, but it was fairly quick and it was too fast and we just ran through it. And then I wanted to talk to you about it, right? I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole situation. But before we do so, yes, Mo's chiming in on Facebook. These damn Lakers, I swear. For my Spaces buddies on Twitter, if you guys are watching, I told you last night and I said it this morning. That line just seemed too suspect. Lakers opened at -7 last night before the game's even played. Moves all the way up to 9 today. Closes at 8.5. And the Lakers are playing against a team that has pretty much got rid of everyone, right? I mean, you're pretty much playing with scraps at this point. But yet Portland comes out and beats the Lakers by 2. At this point, something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, before we get into the Brian Flores thing, if I'm being 100% honest, I'm just going to give my thoughts and my takes on this whole situation. LeBron's got to go, okay? If I'm being serious, call me crazy, throw it in my face. I'll take all that. I'll take all the backlash. I'm okay with it. But I keep hearing, well, Pelinka's not a general manager. Pelinka's horrible. Pelinka's this. Pelinka's not the guy that put that team together, if we're being honest. LeBron James is the one that picked up that phone during the offseason. Yep. I want this guy. I want this guy. I want this guy. Yeah. Go get him. And now that it's not working, it's easy for LeBron to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Frank Vogel, you're probably going to lose your job pretty soon here. Start mixing it up. Start doing something. Call me crazy. Bring LeBron off the bench. I don't know.
Agree.
Like, you got to do something at this point.
I think at this point that he's trying too hard to create this super team again. And at this point in his career, he's good. Don't get me wrong. For his age, he's doing a lot of stuff that he should not be able to do at his age. So don't get me wrong there. But he's no longer that piece that you have to build an entire team around now. Like, he's better on a team that already has some really good superstars, young superstars, right? So I think if he can get out of there, if he can get onto a team that has a young nucleus, then it'll be better for him and for the Lakers, because I do agree that I think he's holding them back a little bit because he's trying too hard to build around himself, and that's just not the case. Unrealistically, that's just not the case.
The Lakers have a team that's full of players that were and never made it, if that makes sense. And I mean that respectfully. A lot of these guys are superstars. They're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. I get that. Carmelo, Russell, you know what I mean? But they're not at that point in their career anymore where you can put all these guys together and it's going to work, bro. It's just not.
It would have worked maybe when they're younger, but like they're at this point, they're just ring chasing.
I agree 100%. And
what more do you want LeBron to do on this team?
No, here's the thing.
Because he's had an amazing year. So to blame LeBron
when
all these other players aren't playing well is ridiculous.
Hold on. I'm blaming LeBron for putting this team together and people now trying to blame Pelinka. I'm not blaming LeBron for the way he's playing this year. I give him credit for the way he's playing.
Pelinka's the GM. He could say yes or no to anything.
Is he really going to say yes or no to LeBron?
He's the GM. His job is the GM.
I understand that, but I'm just again. I'll take all that. You call me crazy, say what you want to say. I'll take it. But it's just from the outside looking in and just following LeBron the way he's been, how he puts these super teams together and all these guys together. I'm pretty sure a lot of it had to do with LeBron. Yes, Rob Pelinka at the end of the day, I agree with you, Quan, is the guy that makes the final decision. But I just think that all these players that are here that are not working right now and that they're not gelling, someone had to push more to get these guys here than Rob just making a phone call and saying, hey, you want to come play for us?
There's no way that you're telling me that Carmelo Anthony to the Lakers was all Pelinka. Like
that I can tell you was probably LeBron.
And that's what I'm saying. LeBron has been talking about Carmelo for, I mean, pretty much his whole entire career.
Well, he's actually done good for a vet minimum player. That was a good pickup.
Okay. But then I mean, yes, like, but okay, but I think Russ is also LeBron, like, and you can't say Russ has been playing well.
So he hasn't been playing well, and you're blaming that on LeBron. LeBron didn't make that trade. He was trying to get other people there too. He was trying to see what's going on. So ultimately, the GM has to be the GM and do his job. Everybody blames LeBron for anything that goes wrong, but then when it goes good, you want to give credit to everyone else. Anthony Davis and LeBron should be able to beat the Portland Trailblazers by themselves.
But AD also coming off of injury has not been the same.
If they should be able to, why
actually
can't
coming
they?
back from the injury, he's playing like AD. Before that, he hadn't been playing like AD all year.
But that was
you're blaming LeBron for what these role players aren't able to do. What the coaching staff who should have already been fired 2 months ago hasn't been able to do. When teams are this good but playing this bad, every other owner fires the coach way before it gets to this point. Jeannie Buss hasn't been doing her job because she's been sucking face with Jay Moore all over Instagram. She doesn't care anymore because she thinks that one little bubble championship made up for everything and what her brother was saying and her firing Mitch and her brother a few years ago, and then she won that championship and has got comfortable, and she's not doing anything this year to shake up this team at all.
I agree. The team has to be shaken up. You got to make some moves 100%. Everybody that you brought in are role players. They're name players. They're vets. They're guys that on any given night we know they can come up and they can be big for you. But when you have a guy like LeBron that's scoring 30 but not trusting his teammates and they're not doing good in fourth quarters in games, I'm not blaming LeBron for every loss. I'm not blaming LeBron for this season. Let me get that straight. LeBron's having a great season. But I honestly feel and I believe that a lot of this team that was put together that isn't gelling, that isn't working out, is on LeBron. Again, I'm not blaming him for the Lakers' woes at all 100%.
Not to mention LeBron was instrumental in bringing Pelinka to the Lakers in the first place.
Correct. But at this point, and I agree to Quan's point, what he just said about the owner, you need to do something. You need to step up and shake this up. Whether it's get on Ron Pelinka's ass and tell him to do something or figure something out as an owner, because you get a lot of mess about this one championship that was inside a gym. Yeah. Think about that. A lot of people claim that the Lakers didn't even win that year just because it was in a gym. They say, oh, look at how bad they are now. They couldn't do that in a regular NBA season. So I agree with Quan. Things need to be shaken up in that organization from top to bottom, not just players. I'm talking about organizationally all the way around. Something needs to be done. We won a championship. It was nice. It was cool. But this season, which is the season that we're supposed to show even more, we look like absolute trash, in my opinion. We do. Yeah. We do. And I said it from the beginning of the season. And as a Laker fan, I want them to win. Of course, I want them to win the championship. I want them to succeed. I'm never going to talk and say I want them to not do anything. But I said it from the beginning of the season. This team will not win a championship. And what are they, 10th in the league, 10th in the West right now? They're fighting for the play-in game type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I told you so, but it just doesn't work.
Exactly
if you look at the 3 previous times that the Lakers, or 2 previous times before this, the Lakers try to create a super team with this many vet guys, didn't work. Steve Nash, Dwight Howard situation with Kobe didn't work. Nash never got healthy. Dwight just didn't care to be there. Before that, you had the Karl Malone, Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, didn't work as well. So it's just, we got to get back to playing ball, not just getting all these guys that are superstars or super talented and thinking we can win. Case in point, look at Brooklyn. James Harden wants out now. And Kwame made a point. The guy's even been there a full year yet.
Yeah.
But now he wants to dip out and say, I don't want to play here anymore.
But that Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, it did work all the way up to the finals.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this. Like, they were dominating through the year.
True, you're right.
Karl
You're right.
Malone got hurt, and he was playing great before he got hurt. Lakers were doing fine. Kobe was flying back and forth. This reminds me of the 2013 year where they brought in Dwight Howard and Steve Nash.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't win a game in preseason that year either. And you could just tell from then, like, there was no chemistry at all. So, you know, bringing in good players doesn't mean it's going to be good chemistry. We're seeing the same thing. If you remember that year, Kobe was playing out of his mind too, just like LeBron's doing. That's the year Kobe tore his Achilles, and it was never the same. Hopefully this isn't a repeat and LeBron has a career-ending injury, but it's headed that way because he's putting too much weight on his shoulders to carry this team. Anthony Davis should be average. He had 17 points tonight. You have to have 30 points against the Blazers. You have to. And he's the one that needs to. You're saying LeBron needs to go to a team with young superstars. He's on a team that should have a young superstar who's not playing up to what he's supposed to be and what he's been in the past, what we know he could be. So that's the issue right there. Hopefully that was Vogel's last game as the Lakers.
And I know Quan's been pushing for Vogel to be out. So let me ask you a question, Quan.
He was their third choice.
At this point, if you're Frank Vogel, do you switch it up? Would you, if you're Frank Vogel and you're the head coach of this team right now, do you do something that people are going to say you are absolutely out of your mind for doing that? Why are you doing that? Would you finally just say, hey, I got to switch something up to make it work?
He's been sitting Russ, and that's the only thing you can mess with. The Lakers would be in 5th or 6th right now if they would have started the season with Russ coming off the bench as a 6th man. I said that at the beginning of the season.
You sure did. I vouch for that. I remember you've been talking about that for sure. And a lot of people said there's no way he's coming off the bench. We talked about it in Spaces.
And he should. Then he could have his own time because he's played good when LeBron's not there. When LeBron gets hurt, he plays good. They're still not winning games, though, but him and AD have a lot more chemistry together when it's just them two.
Yep.
But when LeBron's there, they're too similar. So if you bring Russ off the bench, he can do what he does when LeBron's not on the floor. Then you switch them out, and maybe they play a few minutes together on the floor together. But it would have worked if he would have came off the bench the whole time.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting what happens for the rest of the season. After tonight's loss to Portland, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't even know if they'll sniff the playing game. Who knows?
And there's Russ for John
man.
Wall rumors coming up again.
Russ for John Wall.
I would take it.
Yeah.
You can't have worse chemistry.
But who's going to want to take that contract, though, right? Isn't that the issue right now? Russell
Him and John Wall
contract?
have the same horrible contract.
Okay, so just kind of
that's why they can't move John Wall. Lakers can't move Russ. So it would be the same contract. So it would work. I would just do it. Straight up swap. You don't have to add anybody else. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then Houston could buy out Russ if they want to or whatever they want to do. But yeah.
No.
Something needs to be done.
Something needs to happen for sure, man. Lakers got to figure it out. I'm not going to blame Frank Vogel. I don't want to go that far. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with Quan. Frank's been doing a pretty bad job so far, but we'll see what happens, man. I hope they turn this around. I hope they can at least get the 8th seed. As bad as that sounds, we're hoping for an 8th seed here. You know what I mean? But it'd be nice to see them at least creep back in. And again, the one thing that I will say, and you got to give respect where respect is due. We know what LeBron can do when he's healthy and when it's game time. So obviously, if this team makes the playoffs, we know they could possibly make some noise. Let's be real, 100%. They could possibly make some noise when it matters. You know what I mean? The playoffs is a whole different beast. But until we get there, we'll see what happens. Mo's just going crazy on the Facebook feed with my cousin Eddie. They're going back and forth, talking about all kinds of stuff here. We got people on the YouTube page as well chiming in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Let's see what Mo's chopping it up with real quick before we move on. She says, my cousin says they need to get what? They need to get rid of the coach. There's no set plays only plays for LeBron and AD. Mo goes, where is the value in trading for some of these players? They already talking 2027 first-round draft picks and trades. This team is old. I said it from the very beginning that it was not going to work, and I wasn't happy about this. Just some of the things that are being said on Facebook. So some people agree, some people disagree. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own different topic and their own takes on it. But I want to talk to you about Brian Flores, right? Definitely. So the whole Brian Flores situation, it's interesting, and I'll let you give your take on it real quick once I basically say everything that I have to say. But there's so much surrounding this, right? One, Brian Flores is not African American. That's one. Yeah. That's the and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not bringing anyone down, trying to talk crap, just stating facts here. Brian Flores is an African American. His color of his skin is, so obviously you see him in the States, people think he's black. That's where they put you at automatically, no matter what, right? But he's part of the minority. We saw what happened with all of the issues, but now that I took a step back since the lawsuit came out, seeing the interviews that have came out on TV, seeing Hugh Jackson talking about the fact that he was offered, but yet we can't confirm if he actually took the money. My biggest question here is, and again, I know people say that I just like to cause controversy and ruffle feathers, right? But no, I like to speak truth and facts of what I see. Would Brian Flores have came out with this lawsuit if he was still the head coach of the Miami Dolphins right now? Think about that. Just think about that, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying that the lawsuit has no merit. I mean, this guy's got text messages from a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which that right there helps a lot. But a lot of it also does sound like a guy that's upset because he had an owner that was down his throat a lot because they didn't agree. Because he had an owner that was probably shady, that was trying to do shady things, but yet he probably thought, I'm good here. I can work with it. I can continue. I'll have my job, right? Back-to-back winning seasons. I should be okay to convince this guy to change his mind and go away from offering me $100,000 to tank games or telling me to come on his yacht to come hang out and meet who some people are saying was Tom Brady to possibly come and get on that team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a lot more questions have arose, in my opinion, here is, would this lawsuit still be here if he wasn't fired? That's one, right? And then the next step, too, is, does he get another head coaching job, right? And the final thing here, too, which was brought to my attention, which I don't really think doesn't really matter that much, in my opinion, but there's people now that are coming out saying, well, why should African Americans support Brian Flores when he's not black, when he didn't want to support Colin Kaepernick during the kneeling, right? At the end of the day, it's two different scenarios. Yeah. Let's not try to compare the two, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He's trying to bring light to something that's been happening in the NFL for 70-plus years. Yeah. The Rooney Rule is a joke. We know that, right? Yeah. It's a complete joke.
There definitely needs to be something better in place to encourage clubs to hire minority coaches. Now, the real thing is there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, right? There's the text messages from Belichick, but the problem is Belichick actually is not part of the Giants organization, and that's going to be a hard thing for them to prove that he actually was part of that process, right? He could have just heard on the rumor mill, hey, Brian Daboll is getting the job, I'm going to congratulate him, right? So there's that. There's the Stephen Ross thing, right? If he actually is paying him $100,000 to lose, if he never took it, then there's probably not going to be a paper trail, right? And what's the context of that? Was it like they're saying in a meeting and he's like, hey, I want you to lose, I'm going to pay you $100,000 bonus? Or was it like they're on the sidelines and it's like, hey, we're trying to get a draft pick here. If I slip you $100,000, will you lose more games? Like, you know, like, I'm not saying that's what it was, but the fact that Hugh Jackson's like, hey, I support you, I have all these documents and things to support you, and then he's like backtracking. It's like, well, you see, it makes it a little bit like you said, is he mad that he got fired? Which I still think that they unjustly so fired him. Like, I definitely think that he should still be the coach of the Miami Dolphins. I think he did a good enough job. You can fire
or keep anyone at any time. I agree with you. It's just based off of the 2 back-to-back winning seasons, you would think he had a job.
Just based off of merit. Now, whether or not him, like you said, whether or not him and Stephen Ross were butting heads, and that's a real contributing factor to the reason, because that happens all the time, right? You know, that the owner and the coach have two different visions, for instance, you saw last year when they fired Doug Pearson, when the Eagles fired Doug Pearson, even the owner was like, we like each other, but we have two different visions.
Yeah.
Right. So it happens. It happens to the best of them that the owner and coach they just go their separate ways. I don't think this year he's going to get a head coaching job. I think that he's going to be I think they're going to put him on the Caldwell list, where basically every year we hear him as a hot topic, hot candidate coach that never gets hired.
So check this out.
I think every year someone's going to bring him in. You're going to be like, yes, we're going to get Brian Flores, and then it's not going to happen. I think it's going to be the exact same situation with Caldwell.
So check this scenario out. I was just thinking, as you were speaking, it came to me. The NFL completely screwed up the Colin Kaepernick situation, right?
They did.
And then after God knows how long, they did that horrible freaking video that the commissioner did, right?
Yeah.
So I honestly believe now just thinking about it, I'm gonna throw it out there, throw it out there in the wind. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully he gets a job. Who knows? But I honestly feel that the NFL is gonna find a way to get this guy another job. But the problem is they're also gonna go about it the wrong way again. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna want to do it because they're gonna go, if we don't make sure that he gets back in the league, they're gonna say we're doing the same thing we did to Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, they're going to feel pressured, and then they're just going to screw it up even more because that's what they do.
So that's why I think that now I don't think he'll have a head coaching job.
No.
Right away, but I do believe that someone will give him an opportunity. Now, here's the thing. I guarantee you that there's college programs right now that would probably give Brian Flores an opportunity.
Absolutely.
One, because of what he did, right? Mm-hmm. And two, because the guy's a good coach.
He is a good,
I'm not gonna say great, but he's a very good coach. And he proved that. Your team starts 1-7, but then you turn it around and finish 9-8. Granted, you had that extra game this year, so that's why you finished above 500. But still, two back-to-back winning seasons.
Defensively, what he has done with that organization, yes, they have some talented players, but it is not a stacked defense. I give kudos to him because I do think he is a good coach, like you said.
I agree with Mo. She just chimed in on Facebook. HBCUs would take him in a minute.
Oh,
if I'm an HBC school, I call this guy and hire him right away. Right. If nobody else wants him, I give him an opportunity. Because think about this. Him at an HBCU school, because what are HBCUs doing now? They're taking the NIL deals to get these big
look at
recruits,
Jackson
right?
State.
So
Jackson State just landed. I forget who it was, but they just landed another top five recruit. Yeah,
and it's all because of the NIL deals, bro. It's all about the money.
I think it also has a little bit to do with the fact that you have Mr. Primetime as your coach. But NIL deals allow these students to not just worry about the school. How am I going to get a school? How am I going to pay for school? So I agree with you that it's all made possible by the fact that we're finally paying college athletes what they're worth.
And last thing I'll say, if you guys didn't see RG3 on ESPN right after everything came out, go check out the video. The guy speaking about a lot of truths, talking about how he got injured, how there's certain plays that possibly he shouldn't have been on, and there was things that were going on when he was there with Washington, and he was even in Cleveland for a while. Remember that? So it's just we're going to see what happens.
Speaking of Washington, real quick.
The Commanders.
The Commanders, come on. 18 months and Commanders was the best you could think of? 18 months.
Hey, Commander-in-Chief is there, bro. That's what they said. But we'll talk about that later, man. Once again, you're tuning to Straight Bet Sports live here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. Jose V, EMB, Quan59 hanging out in the studio here, bringing you guys some content tonight, talking some Brian Flores, some football, but I wanted to talk about something real quick, and then I'll get off. You don't even have, because I didn't give you a heads up, but if you guys saw, we finally got rid of the headache that is Liz Cambage. I know a lot of people are going to call me crazy for saying that, and they're not going to like me commenting that. But since she's came to Las Vegas, she's been nothing but a headache with the media, with the players, on the court, with her social media and her rants. It's always about her. Becky Hammons comes out and gets a contract, which she rightfully deserved. I understand. WNBA players need to get paid. But what you also need to understand is that this team is owned by Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, a guy that is a tremendous owner and has proven that so far since he's got into Las Vegas. He's trying to create the footprint. He's trying to make that first impression to say, hey, if I can pay my coach, I'm going to start paying my players. you can do it too. So for Liz Cambage to come out and start complaining about that, I get it. You didn't mention Becky and saying you're complaining about her. You were complaining about the contract, the money, and the situation, and talking about, well, I shouldn't have to pay, to go on flights and this and that. I agree. You pay to have first class because you want to. The WNBA gives you what they can afford, which it sucks. You guys should be chartered privately. I agree with that. But for you to come out and make it about yourself again, as you always have, good riddance to you. I wish you good luck in LA, but I'm sorry. I feel bad for Derek Fisher because he's going to have to put up with so much. And if you want my honest opinion, her move to LA is not about basketball. It's about her, and it's about her fame. But I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
Real quick, do you think that closes their window?
No, hell no. I think it opens their window even more.
You think it extends their window?
If you watched any games of her play, she is lazy.
Yeah.
She doesn't go up and down the court the way she does. She should. She makes excuses day in and day out. She's complaining to the refs more. And if you don't believe me, look at all of last season. Almost every game, Bill Laimbeer is looking at her and saying, worry about the game. Stop complaining to the officials. Almost every game he says it to her. So good riddance. Yep. Good luck, because I don't wish bad upon anyone. But man, Derek, you got some stuff on your hands there. Good luck with that. But UNLV running Rebels as well. Last night, they pulled off the huge victory, 34-point win against Air Force. They were a 10.5-point underdog. I was hanging out at T-Mobile. At Thomas and Mack, watching the game with Chet Malik Jones, guest we had last week here on the show from Franchise Sports Media. And sitting next to him, bro, and like I told you, I'm just going to go through this real quick. Sitting there and listening to him. I normally don't like people talking to me in my ear during the game. This guy was talking everything, breaking down what's going to happen, this, that, the play, what's going on over here. But great win by UNLV last night. They're going to have another big game coming up against Boise State here on the road. Hopefully they can get that victory. They get that victory, that'll be a huge one. They got to start making some noise here. Bryce Hamilton's last year, he's a senior. We got to make some noise. Thomas and Mack was a little more packed last night. Not as packed as it was last Tuesday for the UNR game, but they're doing a better job. Eric Harper, the AD over there, doing a lot more good things, getting people in the stands. So I do like that. We got about 9-10 more minutes here. I know you wanted to talk about some hometown stuff that happened here with the Pro Bowl recently, and the narrative towards Vegas now, right? Which to me is BS because it shouldn't be that way. But Alvin Kamara, talk about the Alvin Kamara situation.
All right. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So if, in case our viewers don't know, Kamara was in town for the Pro Bowl, right? And him and a group of individuals, allegedly, it hasn't been proven, so I'm going to say allegedly, basically jumped an individual, right? Yeah. And he was struck, I think it was like 23 times, stomped, punched, chased, and the reports were that the individual that got jumped lost consciousness, and they broke his orbital bone, right? So substantial bodily harm. And yet, if you listen to Twitter, you listen to media, there is a lot of people that are trying to blame this non-Kamara, but on Las Vegas, and the fact that Las Vegas brings this bad blood, it brings this environment that just allows all these stars to have a rough time transitioning. And I'm sorry, if you beat a guy into the hospital, it is your fault.
You think?
You're a grown man. Handle it.
You think?
Handle it. If you have to go talk to your therapist afterwards, do it. But there's no excuse for you, especially as an NFL player. There's no excuse for anyone, but especially as an NFL player, to be engaging in these type of activities. So it's all on Kamara, not on Las Vegas, but that, unfortunately, that's the weird narrative that has kind of come from this weekend.
But it's going to be the narrative that's going to be happening all the time.
It is.
I mean, we had obviously the Henry Ruggs situation, the Nate Hobbs, which wasn't as bad, but still drunk, shouldn't be driving. But I look at it this way. It's not Vegas.
No.
This can happen in any city. Yeah. Players can do this anywhere.
Real quick. First of all, we had the Shrine Bowl and the All-Star game for the Hockey League. The entire time.
You mean the Pro Bowl?
No, we had the
the East West
NHL,
Shrine,
yeah. And the NHL All-Star game.
All-Star game, yeah.
The Hockey League. The Hockey League.
Well, there was an East-West Shrine game, too.
But there is the East-West Shrine game. So we had college players and we had hockey players all in town. None of them beat up a guy.
Yeah. It's on you.
Yeah.
You
It's
make
on
the
you.
decision. Las Vegas doesn't put a gun to your head or tell you any of that. Now, next week, actually, no, not next week. This Saturday,
Yeah.
we're going to have a special show on Saturday, Super Bowl preview show. I've already done 2, I believe, on this network. So this will be the 3rd one that we do already. You'll be the first part of this one. I'm working on the guests. Haven't officially confirmed yet. But good chance that we'll have Tom Barton of Tom Barton Sports and Heatwave Sports out here in Las Vegas. He's also a gambler and a handicapper, so that's why I wanted to bring him on, get some of the East Coast action that they're going to be getting for all these prop bets and everything. And it's the day right before the Super Bowl, so it works out. I know you're going to be here, and if not, then I'm sorry, you're going to lose out. It's going to be a fun show. But we got to have you here, Ian, because you got to be here so we can talk about your Super Bowl prop bets or whatever you may think that's going into that.
It's going to be a great game. That's all I know right now.
But with the final 8 minutes that we have here on the show, let's preview the matchup getting into the Super Bowl. Let's not preview the Super Bowl yet.
All right.
Let's kind of talk about how we got here, right?
Yep.
Obviously, we know what Cincinnati did in playoffs. They beat the Raiders to start off at home. First playoff win in God knows how long. Then they go on the road and just stay hot, right?
Yep.
Not beating or annihilating teams,
No.
but doing enough and doing the right things to win these games.
Yeah,
right?
the game plan by Zach Taylor and their defensive coordinator, I'm losing the name right now, but the game plan by both of those individuals has been outstanding. And the halftime adjustments that they've made in both the Titans and the Chiefs game, I think are going very under the radar. So you have to definitely give credit to where credit's due to the coaching staff here. They've done a fantastic job of keeping this young nucleus of players very calm and very hungry for the next step. So I think coaching staff is going to make a big difference too. Now, McVay's no joke. I mean, McVay is a very good coach in his own. But I do think that right now, in terms of halftime adjustments, I'm going to give that matchup to the Bengals.
And it's another thing, too, going into this game. We know what the Rams did to get there. They finally get over the hump and beat the Niners. Don't annihilate them like you said they were going to, but they beat them, right? They finally get over that hump. And I was sitting back, and I was talking to a few guys earlier today, and I've been thinking about it since the matchup was set. This is honestly the first time, at least since I moved to Vegas and I bet on Super Bowls, right, that I can honestly say that I'm not going against either guy. Like, you have a guy in Matthew Stafford. You have a guy in Matthew Stafford that hasn't had that opportunity to win that big game, right? But yet he is the only quarterback in NFL history that has statistically the 2 best receivers of all time in a single season, with Calvin Johnson and now Cooper Kupp, right? 1-2, side by side. He has that, and he's in a Super Bowl. The whole Odell Beckham story, how everyone rode him out of Cleveland. I was one of them saying that he was an issue, he was a problem. But now if you look at it and you go on the outside looking in, all it was coaching. Sean McVay knew how to coach him and bring him back with his coaching staff slowly, gradually, correctly, and use him the right way. As where Cleveland couldn't do that, so they made it seem like it was his issue. Like he was the problem, like he couldn't work with Baker, right? No, the problem is Baker can't work without a running game, and we know that. But then going back to Joey Burrow in Cincinnati, I was so high on Jamar Chase when everybody said take Penei Sewell. Do you need an offensive line? Don't draft Jamar Chase.
I was one of those guys. I thought Sewell would make a much more contributing factor to their success than Jamar Chase, only because they had weapons and the storyline
with Cincinnati.
It's crazy,
Joey
man.
Burrow playing with this guy that he won a national championship with, and it's like they even interviewed Rob Gronkowski today. I forgot on what show it was, and they asked him if you can choose a quarterback right now, aside from Tom, who would you want to play with? He said Joey Burrow, and it shows you the respect, and he's got that swag and that confidence. But it's not like a FU type confidence when he looks at you.
Calm,
correct. Like you want to talk to exactly, bro.
Just like, hey, I want him. Like he's a
It's
guy that I
something
want in the
Cincinnati
studio
needed.
and just be like, how do you do it? like you got sacked 9 times. Like how do you get up there and be like the next one? Like so I agree with you. This is the first time in a very long time that if you're not a fan of the Rams and you're not a fan of the Bengals, you're actually you're rooting for a good game. Like you really are happy with whichever team ends up winning because there's a good storyline on both sides.
Yeah.
I would love Burrow to get a championship this year. I'm leaning a little bit towards Stafford just because I've been very high on Stafford his entire career. And I felt like he's gotten a lot of undeserved criticism for the failures in Detroit. So I want this for Stafford, but at the same time, I'm not going to be mad if Burrow wins. So I like this game. This game's going to be very interesting. It's either going to be a defensive masterpiece on both sides, or it's just going to be a straight shootout, which I'm here for both.
Good stuff, man. We're going to get into the Super Bowl a lot more here in the coming days on Saturday, which should be fun. We'll have the prop sheet out. We'll get everything set up, let you guys know what we think looks interesting, what we might be betting on. Again, I don't have a pick yet, but like I told everybody, they've been telling me, you put a gun to my head right now, I take the Bengals plus the 4.5. Do I think the Rams will still win it? Yes, but I think the Bengals will cover that. Yeah. I see it being that type of game, but we're not going to talk about all that just yet because we're going to save that for Saturday's show. But we've come to the end of it. But before we finish up, we got one more sponsor that I forgot to get to. He's my guy. The guy that hooked me up, he chopped me up, bro. I said, take the hair off this time. He is none other than Eric Navarro of Line 'em Up by Eric, the homie, the one and only. Line 'em Up by Eric, 702-884-8138. He is cutting out a 5-star barbershop off of Ann Road and Simmons. Make sure you hit him up on IG at Line 'em Up by Eric. And you can also download the Booksy app. He can book all your appointments there. It's easy as simple. 702-884-8138. Eric Navarro of Line 'em Up by Eric. Greatly appreciate you and your sponsorship here with us on Straight Bet Sports. But Ian, we've come to the end of the show, man. That was fun. We're actually going to finish on time tonight. We're not going to drip out into the extra minute here. But any final thoughts before we go?
Make sure you're following both Jose and I. My Twitter handle is ENB_sports. You can also go to the Straight Bet Sports YouTube, Gorilla Cross YouTube. Find us there, as well as the Facebook and all social media platforms. But make sure you follow us, subscribe, refer us to your friends and family.
There we go. My final thought, obviously, is Black History Month. So I was thinking about, what can I talk about or who can I bring up? So I remembered when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, we did something during Black History Month where they asked everyone to choose an individual or someone that's part of the history, right? What was that? What's up?
But also, our Saturday show is going to be 12 p.m. 12 p.m. Saturday.
Unless Quan tells me otherwise, it's 12 p.m.
Make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a fantastic show.
We'll post about it.
Yep.
It'll all be out there. We'll let you guys know what's going on and who our guests are. Hopefully, I'll have all that set up and already posted out by tomorrow, which should be good. But going back to that, when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, I got to choose Satchel Paige. And I basically did like a little skit, like a little thing about him and, him being interviewed and how the reporters used to come at him and things of that nature. But Satchel Paige, at the age of 42 in 1948, made his debut with the Cleveland Indians, which to this day made him the oldest player to play in either the American or National League, right, to start his career. If you guys followed his history and look up everything that he went through just to become a pitcher and his statistics of what he did as a player, right, was just unbelievable. And again, if you don't know your Black history, I don't know it all. You know what I mean? I don't claim to know it all, but it's good for us to learn because it's American history. Whether you want to accept it or not, Black history is also American history. It's part of it. A lot of things have happened in this world and in this country that we have to open up our eyes to. Some needs to change, some haven't changed, and we're hoping for change eventually. But till then, I am Jose V. This has been another episode of Straight Bet Sports Live here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. We appreciate each and every one of you for chiming in, for joining us, for our sponsors, Joshua LaFawn, Eric Navarro, my co-host, Ian B., and of course, the one that makes it happen every single Wednesday night, Quan59. Thank you for tuning in to Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. We will see you guys this Saturday, 12 p.m. West Coast time. Till then, we are out. Peace.